Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Business Spotlight. My name is Rob Andrew, and today I am joined by David Dand from Coreus Talent Acquisition. Good afternoon, David.
Hi, Rob. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Let's kick off then. So, David, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
So I live in Lewes, which is a little town outside Brighton. Originally, I grew up in London, and my background has been working in people-related roles, mainly around recruitment and employee development. I started my HR consultancy about 5 years ago now, and that's a one-stop shop for professional services SMEs. Part of our work was to help smaller sized professional services companies not use recruitment consultants and improve their direct hiring and ability to retain talent. And what we found in the pandemic was a lot of companies were saying, great, we love the consultancy work, but we need 3 Robs and 2 Davids. So I started a separate talent acquisition specialist business. We specifically help small professional services SMEs like accountants across the UK, but predominantly on the South Coast, and also tech companies and fintech companies with talent acquisition, with hiring challenges. So we can help with individual hires, with multiple hiring, and supporting those companies to improve how they hire. I've got 3 little kids, love sport, and yeah, look forward to this podcast. So thank you for having me on.
Superb. Okay. So talent acquisition, I mean, that's a crowded marketplace. So what makes you stand out?
Well, I think firstly, the team in the respect that we have experience of internal hiring, so managing talent acquisition and internal recruiters, managing recruitment for companies. We haven't just got experience as external agents. So understanding kind of retention and, a business and the sort of pressures you might face when you're hiring for multiple roles or, selling yourself in a crowded marketplace. It's a lot of, you say crowded marketplaces, I think accountants sometimes will find it difficult, or many businesses, to differentiate themselves, when they're largely on the face of it all after the same thing. But actually the proposition for that business is really unique, just as the proposition of a candidate and what they're looking for is actually very, very, it's unique. So whether that's the day-to-day or the location or the training career progression that you're after. So our experience of internal as well as external agency hiring. I think the second thing is I have a team of slightly more mature, older consultants, experience in HR, experience in law, who I think we try to focus in on that experience of what it's like to be a job seeker and that uncertainty of what it's like when you're looking to make a change or your career and life is in transition. And I want us to hold on to that memory of what it's like to apply for roles and not hear back. To be applying for roles and just getting generic feedback. And I want that sort of memory to be at the heart of how we work with candidates as well as employers to find them talent that can help grow their business and or, as a job seeker, change their life. And then the third thing is I think it's really paramount to us is the values that we work by, which make us tick and which make us unique. And our core values, there's 3 of them, are positivity, openness, and individuality. And they're really important to kind of how we work, how we go about interacting with people. So, openness is an example. It's about transparent communication, but it's also about open to new ideas and creative ways of working. So, that's really important to us, and that's our go-to if we're wondering about how to solve a problem or how to represent ourselves.
That's really interesting, actually. It's really good to hear about that the importance of values and what it plays in your business. How do you translate that though to your clients? How do you approach that conversation with your clients?
So that's a really good question. And like I said in the last answer, we live and breathe it in how we work. So, for example, with a candidate, we're often as frank and as open, as transparent as we possibly can be. And I would say 98 times, 99 times out of 100 of speaking to candidates and being honest about our feeling on their suitability, or feedback about why we're not putting them forwards to a role. We use the value of something like openness to say, I want to be open with you because this is a core value in our business and how we work, that XYZ. And 98 times out of 100, it's been well received. There tends to be a silence because people sometimes don't expect frankness and real kind of honesty in that. But then it's, more often than not, like I say, 98 times out of 100, it's really well received. I think the other side of that is it helps anticipate problems further down the line because we're open. We don't know all the answers sometimes, and we can be open about where we are at. And that sort of transparency helps manage expectations and anticipate things that could be a problem further down the line. And then I think the last thing is then actually how we work with each other. So there's been occasions where members of the team, for example, have done something which I wouldn't have expected. And rather than be really subjective and potentially emotional or, whatever it is about how I approach that, I'm able to say, well, listen, this is my expectations and I want to be open with you because this is so important about how we work, that X, Y, Z. And that, again, it's that kind of how that core value frames how we work and helps differentiate ourselves with each other, with our clients, with candidates, with employers.
That's fantastic, David. That really sets you apart in your sector. I'm just going to take you back, actually. You made a point in terms of job seekers and what they're looking for. Have you seen a change in what job seekers are looking for over the years that you've been running the business?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it plays into, when you say it's a busy market, the talent acquisition market, it's, oh my goodness, the people space there's been gone through an overwhelming amount of change in recent years. So take kind of COVID and everything related to that, kind of the pressures on businesses to retain and the costs related to replacement of talent and turnover means that I think HR and people work has been at the forefront of the businesses. And I think more recently, everyone's kind of maybe this year just had enough. Let's focus on something else. But there's no doubt that quality people practices, you see it in the bottom line. So the costs of turnover, the cost of replacement, the cost of hiring people, the challenges related to finding, sourcing great people, it continues to evolve. And to answer your question, in one of the aspects that are important for job seekers and or employers when you're looking at motivation, it's like, what are we offering in this job, or what are we offering as an employer brand, or as a candidate, what's important to me, the idea of flexible working. So flexible working, hybrid working, and we bracket that as convenience, which is one of the most important things. So you've got money, which makes the world go round, and then this idea of convenience, locality. So, to answer your question more specifically, within just inconvenience, how we work, how many days a week do we work in the office? How many do we not? So on the face of it, a job seeker and employees are expecting more flexibility. They want to be able to work on their terms. The challenge for businesses is that, if people are in the office, they're more likely to have a higher level of employee engagement. They're more likely to have lower levels of turnover and attrition. So just in the nature of how we work, oh my goodness, and even doing this kind of work over Zoom, this kind of meeting it's changed significantly just in that one thing of how are the people that are going to work, let alone into looking at salary and benefits, cultures of business, the day-to-day job and how tech enables that, or the salary and career progression that we as job seekers are after, or as an employer is looking at, in terms of a role. Just that portion of convenience is a good example of how complex it all is at the moment.
I love the term convenience. It's that's great. That's really great.
I think in terms of convenience, like one of the elements of it is like, how can we, our work-life balance. So how can we manage our caring commitments and our life around work? And the complexities of that. So in the accounting field, for example, why, just because I'm an accountant, should I mean that I don't have a weekend ever? And how employers can then differentiate themselves to say, you can come and work here. We don't pay the most, but you can have a quality life and a quality work-life balance. That stands for a lot.
So important since the pandemic, isn't it?
I think so. And people are working from home, and statistically, I think the World Health Organization said that people are doing more hours by working at home. So there's real challenges in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, David, what's been the biggest learning since you've become a business owner?
I think I remember going to a talk once with Richard Reed, the guy who started Innocent Drinks. And he's got a story where he was at a festival and he produced these health shakes, and he said, should I quit my job? I think it was at McKinsey or something. And if it's a yes, you put it in that bucket. If it's a no, you put it in that bucket. And it was, an overwhelming yes. So he quit his job, he started Innocent Drinks. And I went to this talk and I asked him, how do you compensate for the things you're not good at in your business? And he's like, well, you hire people that are great at it, and that's it. You have people around you that are better than you at things. And I really wanted to emulate that. And I've hired people who I think have just got things that I don't. And, as an example, excel in things like contract negotiations, attention to detail, processing, and all of these things where I feel that my strengths lie in maybe different areas. And I want to focus in and develop the kind of the strengths that we all have and play on those strengths and skills. I think my biggest learning curve is the importance of sales. So there's no doubt we're in the world of people, and I value great people that can change everything, change the landscape of a business. And that's what we try to do, place people that can change everything for you, that you love to work with, that fit in and they feel like they belong. I think sitting around a dinner table, might not necessarily want to sit next to someone who does sales, but my biggest learning curve is the idea or hiring people that have that sort of ability, who maybe have perseverance, determination, and that want to create opportunities. And I think it takes a unique skill and mindset and motivation to do that. And that's often overlooked around a dinner table. Maybe my daughter said my husband's a salesman, I might think, oh, what, am I not a doctor or something? But oh my goodness, the skill of finding new markets and that learning experience, how important that is, and grit and determination, and what that takes to grow the business and drive growth is still a learning experience for me now.
Absolutely excellent. Oh yes, without sales, there's no business, is there?
Yeah, and everything that's attached to that kind of can-do attitude, the creative element of deal making, and the resilience. It's an incredible set of behaviors and characteristics that I think are often overlooked.
Absolutely. David, what do you see as your main challenges as you look forward?
Well, not many people like recruiters, I would say. So, I think often sometimes the challenge we have is working with people who initially we work with and they think, my goodness, these people are different, and maintaining that sort of respect. And the only way to do our sort of work is to have a partnership with the business where they respect really and partner with us. And it's the same with candidates, because there are just too many risks in that people work and in that process, I think it requires that value of openness and transparency, real openness. So, a challenge that I think we face and will continue to face is an element of a perception of a recruiter as doesn't care, just wants the deal. There's an opportunity in that as well. But that's something that we face. And I think the second one, it links in with our work, which is hyper personal, and we want it to be right and valid, and we want it to be open and truthful and authentic to all the parties involved, for us, for the employers that we work with, and also candidates. But it's about how we bring in tech. So how we improve our own efficiency and how we work. And there are so many different tools out there that can help do that. But there's also those tools that can detract from that personal touch and actually make things more busy and complicated. So how we use tech to improve the experience and efficiency of the way we work is something that I need to continue to kind of work on.
It's crucial, isn't it? That balance between tech and personalization.
And how we use tech to in our work. So a good example of the changing landscape we're facing is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is dominant, has an amazing presence, and it's a great tool. But there's no doubt that if somebody contacted you on LinkedIn 5 years ago, it's very different to what it's like being, contacting LinkedIn now, where it's just another tool. And I think people are more likely to just not read, not respond. So, how you use that tool as outreach to support with talent attraction and headhunting and/or employee branding and selling is a good example, again, of how things are constantly changing.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell me, who or what inspires you at the moment?
So the kind of stuff that I'm really inspired by at the moment is really leaning into that individuality. So that's one of our values. And, maybe I'm kind of harping back to this values piece, but, providing a really individualized service is something that I'm really passionate about, and I want to continue to explore. What about you? What do you find?
I think it's really interesting what you were explaining earlier in terms of values and the importance of values, and I think that message to business owners as well on the importance of recruiting around values, not perhaps being quite so focused on skills, because as we know, you can train skills, but the values are critical. So I think that point for me is so important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's in two ways. So I was doing some training yesterday for a small business, again, really professional, highly skilled team, and actually they sell. They're doing business development, so it's not related to legal or tech or accounting. And the work I was doing with them was about how they, as individuals, apply, their own values, what makes them tick. And then I was trying to use that to relay back to how they work and how it can support them with knocking on doors, or canvassing, basically. And that was kind of really emotive and really, again, that kind of process is really interests me, is that experience of something very, very personal and individualized that can help accelerate your own, whatever, your own career or your own experience. And I think the other side of that is, if you have a lead in your company, you would be on it. You would be, contacting that person and understanding what that business was, trying to understand their requirements. And I think I still find it surprising that businesses will treat customers differently to employees. And they wouldn't leave a customer waiting for a month for a response while they were getting their ducks in a row. And I think it's surprising that sometimes employees are often left in the dark of changes and things like that. So again, it's that kind of personalized experience in the employee journey, from talent attraction to retention to to the whole employee life cycle. And how that can be mirrored from the customer experience, where we're doing everything we can to service our customer and give them a great experience. And I feel like that should be the same in the employee experience.
We've all got lots to learn. Yeah, I agree. David, what advice would you give to that 18-year-old David just embarking on his career in business?
So that's a quite again quite an emotionally stirring question, because it hasn't all been ups and highs in my career. And I'm a qualified career coach, and we do career counselling. And what I've learned is that no one's career is just a nice trajectory into success. There's some real bumps along the way, whether professionally or personally. That's just the way it rolls.
Yeah.
I feel really fortunate because of where I am, and what's happening in my life and my family and work. So, but I would just say, crack on and continue to be yourself. I think authenticity is really important. And just, I think taking the time to reflect and how that can help you stay true to yourself, I think is something that I would say so. So, for example, there's been times in my life where I've worked in teams, or I've been in companies or roles where I didn't feel like I belonged. The conditions weren't the conditions that helped me to thrive. It might be for other people, but for me, I wanted maybe more freedom, or, whatever it is, autonomy. And so, but at the time, you're kind of beaten up. You're thinking, why am I not more successful? Or why am I not having more of an impact? But it's only later on, maybe, or taking that time to reflect, when you think, yeah, I get it now, and it's okay.
Superb. Be authentic. Absolutely superb. Thank you, David. David, any news or events or anything you would like to share with viewers today?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that we can do an event together in kind of Brighton or Sussex towards the end of the year, and I think that will be exciting as a chance to get together and do an event and that can provide insight and make a difference, and that will be a nice way to end 2023. We've productized our services in Coreus. So Coreus is the kind of foundations of it are that talent acquisition should be at the core of the business, not a kind of administrative, reactive afterthought. Something, really at the core of the company that enables people to work in harmony. So the three services that we've got are priority hire, so helping companies with one-off important hires, multi-hire, which is supporting companies that are facing multiple vacancies, and the last service is called opti-hire, which is optimizing how companies hire. So, the news for us is that we've got these three services, and we really want to be making a difference in the talent acquisition world and business world with these three solutions.
Okay, and tell us how best for people to reach you.
Email, connecting through you. Visit our website, fill out the contact form, and/or just email me directly. Okay. And there you go. Yeah.
Excellent. We shall share that. Well, David, thank you very much for your time and your sharings insights today. Really interesting, really interesting.
Thank you so much.
And I wish you continued success in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you for having me on.